What's up, guys? Studfit here for the best tour ever. That's right, the Winter Tour 2023. Bam, fireworks, everything's going up. Not so much. I think Carlos called it the filler tour. There's been others that feel like this is one of the worst tours ever. I'm enjoying this tour. This is a fun tour for me, but it's just different. Instead of calling it a filler tour, which we kind of shun the other F word. Some people calling it a saving tour, which I absolutely love that title. I'm just thinking of it as an EXP tour. This is a great opportunity to earn some EXP, save those tickets, go into whatever is coming next with as much in your arsenal as possible, making hopefully as minimal moves and investment as you can. But Antilev, thanks for joining me, man. What do you think of the best tour ever?
I think
I told you I'd come in excited.
I think well, you nailed it, man. You knocked that one out of the park. I think the most exciting tour. I think the telling thing is for me. The thing I'm most excited about the tour is a data mined Kart, which is not even coming out in this tour. So,
That's right. That's right. So for those who didn't know, we have. You should just
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Look in the servers. There's an alt to the crawly Karts that might be the coolest looking.
Yeah, it looks. I wasn't trying to undersell this tour, but this Kart looks amazing.
It looks sick. So let me ask you this: what do you think is coming next? We have this 2-part Winter Fest. We're starting with this Winter Tour and whatever's coming next. What do you think is coming next?
I hope it's going to be a proper winter tour. This is the winter tour, but none of the tracks seem real wintry to me. I think Singapore and Bangkok are like relatively warm climates, and I don't see any snow on the tracks, so I'm not really sure what. It's kind of, we had this autumn tour as well, which was like another all-city tour, and it didn't really seem super autumny. What do I think is coming next? I hope we get, a new retro, something like Turbotland from the N64, I think. And maybe some return of some nice old tracks. I hope Snowland comes back to see what kind of buffs, because those are all really difficult top shelves to cover. See if we get some buffs on those. And maybe some new cold focused item. You know what I would really love? I'm a big winter sports fanatic, skiing and snowboarding. And I'm actually going away. I'm going to be on vacation again, skiing and snowboarding when that next tour comes out. And I would love a skiing, like a peach and like a cute skiing outfit. I think that would be super cool.
That would be cool. And then bring back some of the summits and mountains that have some. No, I think that's a great idea.
Or that Donkey Kong and the snowboards in the statue.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, guys, we don't want to get people too excited about it.
No, sure. I'm saying what I want. I'm not like reading.
Can you imagine though having like a ski tour? It was like the ski tour with DK with his snowboard, whatever it was. I think that would be the perfect way to have a true celebration and actually have this as a winter fest. So right now we just have a winter tour that has nothing to do with winter whatsoever, other than we get Ice Mario as a reward to some extent. So yeah.
The other thing is it might be a Valentine's Day tour, because it's gonna come out right before that Valentine's Day. So we might get, I think like I don't know if it was last year. I think it was the year before that. Actually, we had a sort of Valentine's Day tour, and I think it was the cat tour. But then, the second week, banners and pipes were all like a Pauline Rose and Rose Taxi. Valentine's related items.
Yeah, here's the thing. So our tour, this upcoming tour will start on the 8th. So technically, Valentine's Day starts in that tour midway through
that tour.
However, it makes sense for them to, make the month of love and make Valentine's Day afterwards. I do know from data mining, again, spoiler alert, that we do have like a Paris battle track that they found in some of the data mining. So I could see some kind of, let's go back to Paris and having, that's a Paris battle track, which would be kind of treated similar to the New York minute battle track that we have and that we got for that tour, and then has been put on the shelf, much like the cities that we've anticipated. But we're now entering a city tour. I did want to say there was a pretty cool video from Shy Guy Kart talking about potentially an Orlando tour. There's been some finding in the data mining showing the map, like Amsterdam is mod A, and we saw all these cities are kind of having these letters associated in like the data mining. Well, there's an OR, could be Orlando. I looked up a couple other cities. It could be like other things with O, but it doesn't necessarily. I mean, we've had, I think Mary Mountain doesn't even have M in the title either, so it could be anything. But and it's really, I think he did a really good job of looking up the Orlando map, the map of the city, and it's the similar colors to that Crawley Kart, to go full circle. It's kind of like that different shades of blue. So anyway, for what it's worth, it could be Orlando. Maybe it's not. I think he makes 3 or 4 different correlations. Some are a little bit far stretched than others. I could see like an Ontario tour, like, and have like this some ice, and have that makes more sense for me to have that type of Crawley Kart. But he makes a good point, and that's Orlando. They are releasing the Super Nintendo World on the 17th of February. So I have to give a shout out. One of the fans, shout out to Caleb, LSD musician, who actually mailed me this cool hat from Super Nintendo World. He had a connection for the soft opening in Orlando. So I'll be throwing this cap on for a little bit of the rundown, just to get everyone excited about what we got going on here. But let's jump into this tour. First, I have to thank all of our members. Didn't have a lot of opportunity to change this, as I just got back from vacation. But huge shout out to our members. They make everything happen here. Special thanks to Larry98, who not only supports us as a super sub, but also supports putting together a lot of this content behind the scenes. Anytime we see a Larry98 sheet, you can find that information on his sheet, which is in a link on the description, or if you're on a server, you can check it out there. But just so many, it's pretty fluid list with the studs, thanks to all the member subscriptions that were gifted out through people like Puffton and Alchemist and Nintenja. So it's actually a lot of work to put together this site. So I apologize. It's one of the lower priorities compared to everything else.
It's your fault, Nintendo.
But yes, it's all Nintendo's fault. So if you're really mad that your name isn't on here, get mad at Nintenja, because it's all his fault. No, I'm just kidding. But we have a lot to get into. We have a city tour, so let's first talk about what's exciting from this tour. And I think that's this beautiful looking Mii, and I think anytime you have Mii suits, it really comes down to their plus skill. This one's not a plus skill, however, it looks awesome. It's an homage to the Singapore tour that we have, or Singapore track that we have going on this tour. But he looks cool. What's your thoughts on his starting coverage? And also put a disclaimer on all starting coverage. I mean, maybe you can just kind of highlight how should people treat city tours this tour?
Right. So this is an all-city tour, which we've had. They introduced them this year, and I think this is our 5th one. But basically every new item in an all-city tour starts with all city tracks. So their starting value is basically 0, because in our model for the top 10 rankings, or for the overall rankings, cities are worth like way less than other tracks, just because they simply don't come back that often. Now, the more that come back, the more we have these all-city tours, the more value they're going to gain. And you'll see when we get to the rankings later that items that are city-heavy did increase a little bit, just because we have an increase in the incident of returning tracks that are cities. But like my personal view on items that come out in an all-city tour are that starting with like 8 or 10 or whatever all city tracks is a really, really big hurdle to overcome. For like non-plus skill drivers, for gliders, you want to look at like 25 plus non-city tracks for it to get into that kind of elite tier of items. For karts and plus skill drivers, you're looking more like, I would say, 20 non-city tracks. In a normal retro tour, those items are starting with 8 to 10, so they're like, a third to halfway there already, and all city tour items are starting with nothing. So they need to have really, like we have a couple of items that start in all city tours, and they have become like marginally relevant, but they still don't have a lot of non-city tracks, so their long-term value is not good. Even King Mario, who broke the top 10, he still only has I think 14 non-city tracks, you know, in like 17 cities or something crazy. So honestly, his long-term value is probably not going to be that good. And the other thing is there is a kind of sweet spot and a balance in between waiting to see how an item is going to develop and jumping on it quickly enough before before its ranked window is kind of closed. And for me, that is somewhere to around the 3rd to 5th tour that it's out. Its first 2 rounds of, it's got its starting tracks on its first 2 rounds of buffs. No all city item is going to be good after its first 2 rounds of buffs, even if it would get like 5 non-city buffs in each of its first 2 tours after its initial tour. That brings it to 10, which is just matching like the starting coverage of other stuff. So the thing is, by the time you wait and see if it's actually going to have that value, its ranked window may be like you're going to have missed out on a lot of its, so if you want, you can absolutely gamble on these items. But every item in the game is a gamble, and I prefer to kind of like wait a little bit and see. So for all city tour debut items, that balance is off, and if they do get a respectable all-round coverage, that comes much later than a normal item that's introduced in a retro tour. So for me, I generally tend to not pick them up and avoid them, and for that reason, we're not going to like focus too much on the starting coverage here, because it doesn't really matter that much. It's a good chance we won't see a lot of these tracks for another year at least. There's some of these Tokyo Blurs which we haven't seen for multiple years.
Yeah, it's almost, for those investors out there, I'm kind of thinking of it as like a Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA, meaning like you can either pay the tax up front or on the back end. But right now, all these items, their tax, their city tax is front loaded. Everything is, you see all the front loaded city tracks it comes with. But hopefully, as other tours go on, there won't be a follow-up city tours like Orlando next tour. If it is so, that's really tough on these items.
I think that's Orlando and not Osaka. I think like Nintendo is so Japan focusing.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's OR, so that's the thought. Maybe who knows? Maybe Oregon or something.
But sorry to go off on a tangent. Yeah. What's in Orlando? It's Disney World, right?
It's Disney World, but here's the thing: it's actually not Disney World. It's Universal Studios is where Super Nintendo World is, and so I could see them trying to tie some of that stuff in, but they've had weaker tie-ins. They've also totally missed other things that they could have tied in. So who knows? Ultimately, it may be way off. It could be Egypt, and just use OR just as a name placement. Who knows exactly the way Nintendo's doing it? But I think it was a fun concept. I liked how we tied things in. At least Shy Guy Karts video. Definitely check that out if at all possible. But yeah, I like your point. When it comes to these cities, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. Don't get too caught up in the fact that it's got X amount of cities or its starting value. I think that there is some concern for items that come with say 10, like this stealth glider that we'll talk about here in a second. Starting out with 10 cities can be a little tough. One
thing I will say is that Mii suits, because they start with less tracks, are like a little bit less of a risk starting out. Mii suits tend to not get as much coverage in general, but starting with only 5 or 6 tracks compared to starting with 10 or 11 tracks, I guess maybe leaves a little bit more space. It kind of depends on the tours that come afterwards. So a tour like this is kind of brutal for items like Space Toad, Spode, and Space Toadette, because the first tour after they come out is usually when they get the heaviest round of buffs, like 4 or 5 buffs. Yeah. So they're going to be all cities for him as well, for example. But just keep in mind that if you're going to pick up any of these new items and you want to use it for rank this tour, that's fine, but that may be like the only, it may be is an item that you invest for ranked for a certain period of time, and then long-term value-wise, those tickets may end up being wasted. But hey, if it helps you tier up to get to, whatever tier you're trying to get to, if you're trying to get to tier 80 to get the gold Mii suit, if you're trying to get to tier 99 to get those 300 rubies, whatever, it may be worth it for you. If you don't care about ACR, yeah, sure, then it doesn't matter that much. But if you're trying to build a strong all-around account and get good solid full coverage, I would say it's not the most efficient use of tickets to invest in new city, new items in all city tours.
Yeah, I know I'm a little bit more aggressive with my tickets and investing than you are. You like to wait a little longer, a couple extra tours. I like to kind of ride them while they're hot, but I think everything this tour, is just a little bit too much of a risk to to invest in. But I'm with you. I think there will be people out there even commenting right this very second saying, well, hey, I'm not discounting cities at all because we're seeing cities all over the place. But here's the thing, right? So in ranked, we have this brand new Bangkok track. We have this brand new Singapore Speedway track. And then what do we have mixed with it? A Tokyo track from 3 years ago. And so, those people who were actually looking forward to using their Bangkok coverage that they got all this summer, you're not getting that. Those like these are old Bangkok, old Tokyo tracks from a long time ago in both weeks in ranked, in addition to newer tracks. So again,
Ty Daisy is front and center, but she's only on one ranked track this tour, which is 1 out of 6, which is a bit disappointing.
Yeah, so that's kind of the point that we're referring to is, these city tracks, even when they do come back as a part of a newer tour and brought in, they're not going to be the ranked track from that city. That's just unfortunately how it seems to be. Again, Nintendo could switch up any things at any point in time. We just can't put. You're just not going to get return for those cities in a consistent way, the way you will get return for other tracks in this game. So, with that being said, anything you want to specifically point out about the Roaring Racer, see?
No, I mean, we are getting to the kind of point. So I think if you had bought every Mii suit by now, and you quad capped a Mii suit, it would be 2,000 base points. Data miners and other people have theorized that there is a cap on base points at 2,080, so 8 more Mii suits, and we'll be able to see if that's true. Well, actually 9 more Mii suits, and we'll be able to see if that's true or not. If there is no cap there, we can then really start to consider non-plus skill Mii suits to be equivalent to Coinbox regular drivers. The base point advantage is that much. It's right around 450, 500 base points, where a double coin run will beat an optimal Coinbox run of 2 double Coinbox frenzies, a double Coinbox frenzy and 2 singles. When that's the case, then you can start looking at Mii suits regardless of their skill. I'm already considering, if you have my eye on a couple, I think the Ice Cream Mii suit, I think it's got 20 tracks. It's one I'm considering investing in. And that's kind of nice, kind of shake up the game a little bit and getting to use these drivers with skills that we don't normally use.
Yeah, and you know what? I made a comment on Kart Talk a few episodes ago just about how the community's been, it wants character diversity, and I think that I mentioned how Mii suits in a way is kind of like character diversity, and I get it. No one, it's not true character diversity. I understand the problem, but I think ultimately we just want to use stuff that's fun. We don't want to use Mario and Peach and Mario. So, I think from that perspective, it would be great to see, a Bowser Jr. alt for sure. But I think having a friggin' ice cream suit and a roaring Merlion and a reindeer head with your own face. I don't know. There's something diverse about that brings people joy. And I know I was never a part of the Mii Wii generation, and it's really grown on me just having a very unique character that it's nice to see my mug on there, but I think it's also cool to see other people, and when I'm playing a multiplayer and seeing some crazy design someone put to their Mii suit. I don't know. There's something about it that is unique, and it's bringing creativity to the game in a brand new way. So I think regardless, and I've said this 100 times, but I will keep saying it. I think there's one word I want to emphasize, and it's the word never in the phrase. It is never too late to invest in Miis. Never, never, never too late to invest in Mii suits. Again, never too late to invest in Mii suits. Please, guys, I don't want people to keep fighting this, because to your point, even if it gets maxed out at 2,080 basic points, that is insane. To be able to beat out a double coin box frenzy with just a double coin run is insane. I can't believe that's actually the case. So
I think it really depends on where your account's at. I mean, my free to play account, I think I have 15 Mii suits, so that's 140 base points, which is something, but it's not like I'm still investing in Ty Daisy and Gold Pini
100%.
Piranha. Those are still going to be my horses on that account, shall we say. So for my free-to-play account, the strategy is more like really focus on the plus skill ones. With my main account, where I'm picking up pretty much every Mii suit, that's where I'm like, hey, maybe I'll go in on the Dry Bowser Mii suit. Hey, maybe I'll go on the Ice Cream. Maybe I can consider that everything. So it really depends where you are. It also depends on your tier. If you're in tier, like I would say sub 70, you're probably not going to run into people with like level 8 quad cap Mii suits with 2,000 people base points, right? You could probably be a little bit safe just sticking to the plus skill regular drivers.
No, it's a solid point there, Antilev. Appreciate you talking about that. I think Mii's are a very unique item in the game. It's changed the way we played the game this past year, and I think it's a conversation we should be having every tour is to how they're evolving. I want to make sure that people know that if you feel like, hey, you know what, I'm seeing these 70 Ruby Mii suits and doesn't make sense for me to buy them, I think honestly it's probably more effective than buying anything else in the shop, in the Spotlight shop. So that's we'll get off the topic of Mii suits and move on to the super driver, Birdo Orange. What's your thoughts on Birdo Orange initial start as a super?
It's cool to have a Birdo egg skill again. It seems like it's a ranked reward this week, and it seems like everybody has a really, really difficult ranked. Some of the top shelves are really hard. The Bangkok Rush 2R is like pretty difficult top shelf. Once again, only a week 1 reward. If you aren't able to get her this week, then you're out of luck. But I wouldn't cry about it too much. No tracks where, I mean, it's all city start, and there are other good options. It's not like she has a week 2 ranked track where you can, she's got Tokyo Blur 4T for week 2, but I mean, look, you can see there's plenty of options there.
Yeah, for sure. As we move forward, make sure, if you don't mind, just turn up your mic a little bit, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Is that better?
I think so.
Yeah.
Next, we get the tongue twister, the hot pot hot rod.
HPHR.
We love our acronyms here in the Mario Kart Tour community. Obviously, a smaller hitbox, all city starts. It is in 5 tracks, releases tour, so if you need to go for all cup ranking or something like that, may not be bad because you can take it to level 3 just from getting it 3 times. This and also the pineapple one that we'll get to here in a second. One of the more unique names. Being a hot pot hot rod, I mean, it's kind of creative. It's definitely overkill, but you gotta at least like the style. You gotta like the creativity and just kind of bring in a new flavor to what was kind of like a teacup. What could have been just a teacup. Kind of adding a little mat to it and having some fun. But what's your thoughts on the hot pot hot rod?
So initially, I kind of had the same impression as you. I was like, okay, this is a small cart which is being released in a all-city tour. It's a fun concept, but it's going to be beyond useless. But I did some digging into it because I didn't buy it. I wasn't going to buy it. I was like, okay, this is whatever. But I did some into it. It actually has a very, very unique size. I'm going to give you a list of some carts that have similar width to the hot pot hot rod. Paintster,
no
Sunny
way.
Surf
Really?
Sailor,
Okay,
Sweet Ride, Cactex, Ramby Runner, and Tricksters. It's really wide.
okay.
You don't see it from the thing, but it has a huge amount of width. Now I'm going to give you the names of some carts that have a similar length. Landship and Warship and Cheership. The Kitty Karts. Koopa Dasher. The Silver Bullet Blaster and Gold Bullet Blaster, and the eggs, the Dajimi eggs and the gold eggs and egg 1. It's really wide and really short.
Wow. Okay.
It's a really so actually I bought this because I only had level 1 cards for is it Bangkok 2R what it has?
Yeah.
And so I bought it a couple times. I'm using it at level 3. And it actually is helping me pick up adjacent coins next to each other on the track.
Okay.
That width is really, really helping out. That being said, all city start, I wouldn't necessarily say, buy it. But I think it looks cool. It has actually a good size if you don't care about it being super short, because it's wide. and then look, it's one of those commemorative items. It's $4, €5, whatever. Pick up a copy and stash it maybe, and who knows, maybe it helps you out later on. But I just want people to know that, like, size wise, it's actually drivable. It's like the opposite of a Broop.
Okay, it's got a very unique hitbox, it sounds like, but ultimately, don't be too afraid of that. Versus, let's talk about this Pineapple One.
Yeah, you can forget about that.
You can forget about
no, but I mean, it has basically the same hitbox as the Coconut One, which is tiny. I have it as 62.4%, according to Rashid's sheet that Curtis started, of an off-roader, and the absolute lowest is just around 50%. So it's really, really small. And that in combination with the All City start, it's not looking super good. The Coconut One actually had really good coverage for being, even though it's small. So if you think that family-wise there's something there, it might be one worth to pick up, take a gamble on. But I am certainly not going to do that.
Okay. Yeah. I tried using the Coconut One. I couldn't do it. I was forced to use the Gold Egg a couple weeks ago, man, and it's rough. It's
brutal.
Really rough.
It's rough.
When we talk about that minimum viable hitbox, that Hop Rod might work out much better, but this Pineapple One is a struggle bus if I've ever seen one. So definitely, I mean, I got it just because it's fun. I like the pineapple. Obviously, for those who missed it, on my tour reaction, I did it from the beach, and just got back from vacation. The picture behind me, the view of the sunset or sunrise as I was doing the reaction was phenomenal. However, will say the wind was so loud it made it very difficult to watch. So if you watched it and you watched the whole thing, let us know in the comments. I'll give you an extra high five or something like that, because you put up with that. It was I owe you one, because it was the wind was tough. But I just got back from vacation, had even a couple pina coladas out of a pineapple, so I absolutely love the look of it. It looks so cool. Unfortunately,
it does look cool.
It's just so teeny tiny, man. There's really nothing else to say about it. We also do have the gold quick shot now. Looking at doing the buff slides and everything, and looking at all the gold carts that we keep getting. I mean, they're all in like the 80s, 90s, 100s in the algorithm. And so, unfortunately, man, these gold items, whether they're coming from Gold Pass or some of the ones that predated that, they're just tough value. They just don't have a lot of great tracks. And if you want to invest in it because you like gold items, which we used to like a lot in the community, but if you're a new player, you want to invest in it, that's fine. Just know they won't give you some of the top coverage. But what's your thoughts on the gold quick shot? Is it like
I mean, I don't immediately write off gold carts, because there are a couple of exceptions. Like gold Bullet Blaster is actually a top 10 card somehow. And I think you've got Gold Trickster and Gold Sweet Ride in the top 50, which doesn't mean that they're great cards or even like good cards, but they're I mean, they could be decent cards. This one, I mean, it doesn't, Quickshaws, I use a Secure Quickshaw like pretty regularly on especially last tour on my free play account. I have a level 6 double capped. It doesn't have a good hitbox. It's kind of narrow. It's difficult to play with Coinbox, so this one doesn't have a lot going for it with the All City start. For me, it's a pass. But it's a Gold Pass gift, so you're gonna get it if you have Gold Pass. But stash it, and who knows? But not optimistic.
All right. Well, let's talk about another super item, guys. I mean, that's what's tough. Like, there's not even anything to fight for. There's no me suits. There's nothing else to, I don't know, get excited about when it comes to earning. And
I'm more annoyed that I'm gonna miss driver cap tickets this week than I'm not gonna get the orange Birdo and orange Birdo card.
Well, and I think what we're used to is, even in tours where that would be considered another F word tour / savings tour. At least we had ranked to fight for. At least there were ranked awards where we kind of, oh my gosh, I have to get this. And so we at least kind of are spending tickets on that end. But there's not even really much to fight for other than a super driver, super kart. I don't know. That part, unfortunately, is salt on the wound. But what's your thoughts on the orange Turbo Birdo?
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever raced with Turbo Birdos, they're tiny. They're very narrow. They're short. They're not good. I mean, for a while, I think Black Turbo Birdo was pretty meta to high end. Has a like very good coverage. I have it at 4 and double capped on my free to play account, and I'm honestly I mark it down a level on my sheet just because if I can upgrade another cart with a bigger hitbox to take its place, I will do that even if it's the same level, just because it's terrible to drive. So this one doesn't have a lot going for it, I would say.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's talk about the Stealth Glider, a very unique glider, and then we don't have this shaped glider. It sounds like there was a previous glider in the in past iterations of Mario Kart that it resembles. It's kind of got like the World War II type of look to it, in my opinion. You even see some of the styrofoam planes kind of take this type of.
It looked like one of those styrofoam or like. Did you ever have those like balsa wood planes when you were growing up, where you like knock out a hole in the middle and like stuff the wings are there? Yeah.
No, it looks sick.
Looks cool.
It's got the banana skill, and I think some of those who like using giant banana or triple bananas, this might be good for you. Obviously, it comes out out there within 10 tracks off the bat. I just full disclosure, I did get it. I think it looks really cool. The 10 city tracks to start is scaring me a little bit, but I just like the look of it. I'm not. I think there's so many gliders you can get right now. This one might be on the bottom of your list. So what's your thought though on the Stealth Glider?
There is like the first thing I'll say is it has a battle course, which is actually like a decent value. If you look at the value of buffs, including new items, that's actually the single most valuable buff in this tour. Because it's a new item and it's a battle course, which has way more value than a city course. The thing is, you probably already have that covered. If you look at the list of gliders that are already there, you probably got, an 8-bit, one a mushroom, or one of the hats, or a boom mask, or a black star shoot. But it's a decent buff for that one. Otherwise, same thing. All cities start. And nothing really to write home about. I did read somewhere that there is a data mined palette swap of this one, which is like a non-camo, like a regular colored glider, like airplane looking glider. Don't know if that's going to be super normal, or well, probably not normal. I don't know if it's going to be a super or a high end, but it might be something we see in upcoming tours. So if you like the look of it, you might want to wait for the other one to see if it has better starting coverage.
I like the good call there. We'll see how it turns out, but hopefully there are other reskins of this, because it does look pretty cool. Hopefully it doesn't come with 9 cities to start out with. And then of course in the tour, which we have no new driver, we have 8 items, which is not necessarily what we wanted. None of which you have to get. Really the most necessary one you should be getting is probably the Merlion Misu, just because of the base points.
For the base points, yeah.
But let's talk about this gold umbrella and its overlap with other gliders. Obviously, we like. I think Coin Plus are above average. I actually like Gold Plus because most of the time, even if I'm using Lucky 7, if I'm using Boomerang, I got to get a Coin Frenzy on the second lap anyway. So I actually really like that. And even if I'm using Coin Box, getting a Coin Frenzy is not the worst thing in the world. So you can still get plenty of singles and get like a Coin Frenzy. Even a double Coin Frenzy with like 2 or 3 singles, you're solid. You're moving on to the next track. So I don't know. I don't mind Coin. I think the hype, the hate has gone too far. But and I think the look of this thing is sick. Seeing the little fire flowers on there all in gold.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It looks super sick. But what's your thoughts on its coverage?
It has all cities. It has 6 Bangkok tracks, which I guess is like apropos. But I mean, again, it's one of those ones where I think this is a gold pass gift as well. So either get it or you don't. Stash it and hang on to it. Like I said before, if you invest in it for ranked this week, because it isn't ranked, that's on you. But it might be the only use you're going to get out of it. Kind of for these tracks, anyways, for the long term.
Cool. No, there we go. That's it for all the new items that you don't need to get. Let's talk about the daily spotlight. Maybe there's some items in here that you want to get. Huge shout out to Sam78IT, who has collaborated with myself to be able to put the little Studfit Ruby logos. Essentially, the purpose of these are to be able to kind of nudge you in towards doing some research to see if some of these items make sense. I know CJN posted in our server how He did research on 2 items. One didn't make sense at all. One basically broke his spreadsheet. So, I think honestly that these could go a number of different ways. It really depends on your coverage and what you've invested in so far. But I will say it was really tough to do the driver. So we'll start there. I thought about just being an absolute jerk and then only putting I think 5 Ruby Studfit logos on here. But I decided to add Saddle of You and Luigi Vacation just to not be a jerk. I didn't want to be that guy. But really, the only ones that you should be probably looking into might be Samurai or PD Prada.
Pretty slim pickings there, I would say.
Slim, yeah. Man, it's slim pickings. I mean, even Peach Happy has been one of the... She has a great tour. This is a great tour for her. Now, to say that City Tour is great for somebody is never something you want, but... She's crushing it this tour. She's absolutely bonkers. But when I'm putting this together, my main focus is around the newer players, and I don't want them to get too sucked into, oh my gosh, she could give me this, give me that, and just know that like next tour she's back on the shelf probably for 6 months or whatever. So I just want to while I'm doing this, I'm kind of mainly talking to the newer players who may not have these things. If you already have this, I wouldn't necessarily get it in your Spotlight shop to level it up unless you absolutely have to. Because you ran out of tickets and you just have to win ranked or something like that. Even in that situation, I probably would advise against doing that. But if you don't have it, look it up in the spreadsheets. There are plenty of between Antilevs, Ahidas, Band Gerbs, and the Ben's Fork. There's a lot of opportunities to be able to just look at your account in a couple different ways. Anyway, I did throw Luigi Vacation and Mario Saddle of You on there just to be nice. But I would even Hakama has some dangers. I know that Sammy D took his to level 8 just because it's one of his favorite drivers, and he was pumped to see it in ranked, which I'm very happy for him. But it's I don't know. He's not been in ranked. He's actually had so much city coverage. He's kind of like the King Mario 1.0 in that he just had a lot of city coverage, and if not that, then there's not a lot that we see him very often unless Nintendo forces him to, which they can certainly do as well. So I left him off there too. Again, I just wanted people not to be drawn in by the sirens, but there are two drivers I definitely would recommend, at least one that you would want to look into your account, and that would be PD Piranha. Obviously Mario Samurai is not bad to have either, but if you see Gold Charging Chuck, get him. If you don't have him and you see him in your shop, get him. It's a toss-up though for Yoshi Gold Egg, Gold something. He's I don't know.
He's getting a bit old. He's getting a bit up there in age.
He's getting up there. He had a really interesting.
He had a great run. He had a fantastic run. He was a long-time top 10. I think he might have been number 1 at some point. Maybe not. Maybe he didn't get over.
I don't think that's one. I think that might even be giving him too much credit. I think he had an okay release. I mean, the thing was, the Gold Meat came out around the same time. Got a lot of tracks. He had an advantage. And
then Blockhead came out after that.
And then Blockhead came after that. And then 6 other plus skills over the summer. And then you have now it seems like all of his tracks either have 1 or 2 other coin boxes on it. I don't know. I had him at 2. I was ready to pull the trigger. As new items came in because I could save a ticket or 2, but it just never came. Yeah, I never saw the value to invest in him. There's always a plus skill driver or a larger hitbox for that matter that made more sense. So yeah, I think. But Gold Charging Chuck, he's a must get if you don't have him and you see him in your shop. Which again, it's really low rates as you can see on the bottom. And then for the carts, I'm going to kind of walk through a little bit more than I normally would, just because my video on Wednesday was so rough to listen to. But I did kind of do a breeze by. I will say for carts, the tropical truck I put on there for obvious reasons. It's been crushing it. I know its hitboxes not necessarily ideal. It's kind of right there on the fringe of where that minimum viable hitbox is, but I mean it's been really crushing it. And I think if we took out all the hitbox size, I mean it would be one of the top 5 carts for a long period of time. It's been absolutely bonkers, but and it's been carrying me probably more than any other cart. Right, even maybe up there, probably neck and neck with Shield Speedster. Armor Rider, been a great one. Certainly a huge hitbox. So that one's always going to be in the meta for the next, probably for the next couple months. It's definitely pairs really well as well. So don't be afraid of it, even if it's a little older. Sweet Ride has had a little bit of a comeback. It was looking great from its start. Slumped a little bit. It's back on track. It's doing pretty well. Shield Speedster, guys. This is such a strong kart, and it's so young in its peak, in its cycle. So it could get some really good ranked buffs, other buffs as well. I mean, it's hard to keep up with the yellow off-roader, but it's been neck and neck. It's been giving it a run for its money, which is nearly impossible to do with such an awesome kart along the way. We got the I think it's the Blazing Speeder. It's one of the top speedsters. I think that one's obviously the hottest.
Flaming Speeder,
Flaming Speeder. Yeah, it's good. I think the speeders no one gets too excited about. A little bit above average hitbox, but this one seems to be the best one. Sometimes in families or groupings of items, one kind of sticks out above the other. That Blazing Speeder seems to be doing that with a large family of speedsters. We have the Streetle, obviously smaller hitbox, pretty solid coverage, so really good coverage. Definitely still peaking. It's not died off yet. This tour a little lackluster, but that's okay, guys. It's a city tour. Don't fret about that. That's something that you can only dream about. And then we have some of the Eagles I threw on there. Blazing Eagle seems to be the top between all three of them. But even the Taylor Swift has a nice ranked track here, and it's doing pretty well. So I wouldn't discount either one of those, mainly just because of the hitbox. The hitbox is going to help it for whatever track it's on, even though they both came out in tours similar to this with all cities. And then finally, last but not least, we have that Gold Bullet Blaster. It's crushing it, man. It's like the one gold kart to rule them all. It's been fun to watch. But I was the most excited. I mentioned this on Wednesday. The most excited about the gliders. They're I mean, no credit to me. I think I put 13 on here that I put my Studfit logo on. 11 of them are in the top 15. Yeah. 11 of them are in the top 15. So basically, everywhere you see a Studfit logo on there, these are meta gliders that they have in the spotlight. You can't say that about drivers. You can't even really say that about karts. This tour.
Well, and there's even some really good gliders that aren't in the top 15 but have been like former top. So you got like the Galaxy glider, Glinting glider, you got the Record Setter there, you got the Dry Bowser umbrella. Those are all like formerly amazing gliders.
And you'll see them in the pairings as well. It's interesting. I was watching Shy Guy Kart's reaction. He's like, man, I'm having such a hard time with gliders on the top shelf here recently. And Sammy D said the same thing. He's like, man, I'm struggling here with gliders last couple tours. I just don't have anything. That's because all the new gliders are crushing it. They're just like giving all the buffs to all these gliders that came out right around when we stopped start getting stuff from pipes. So like I'm thinking like Ice Cream, Tour, etc. Now all these items are coming back with a vengeance, and they're buffing the heck out of these newer ones and not doing so much for some of the older ones. Now you could argue a couple of these, but ultimately, really everything from this summer on, they're pumping them, guys. So they're almost kind of sunsetting the items prior to. Of course, you have a couple outliers like the Sakura origami glider, but just in general, you have newer items that are doing really well. And of course, the 8-bits, man. You can never ever dilute the value of these 8-bits, man. They are crushing it as they always have. So, Antilev, drivers, karts, gliders. What's your thoughts? And anything I might have missed that I should have included, or anything you would have taken out if it was your list?
I could nitpick, but honestly not. I mean, like I said, there's so many good gliders. There's like, there's probably 5 more gliders I would say are worth buying than the ones you do. But I mean, you can't pick them all. For karts, I think you absolutely covered it. There's really nothing there. I would have added jukebox buggy maybe, but it's smaller and it's older now. So and for drivers, like maybe you'd want to put Cat Luigi on there. He's our highest rated non-plus skill driver, but again, that's a matter of choice if you're willing to invest in non-plus skill drivers at this point. I don't know. So one thing I would say, especially if you're a free player, you don't have a really steady supply of level tickets, don't go buying stuff in the Spotlight shop if you're not gonna get it and invest in it and use it right away, because it will come around again when you need it. And if you don't need it in a tour, it won't show. Like if it's not in the Spotlight shop, that means you probably don't need it because it's not in ranked. And the only exception there would be the gold items, like, gold charging shock or gold bullet blaster if you want it, because those are just super rare. So, I would say if you see gold charging shock in the shop, buy them and stash them. But everything else in the shop, like, only buy it if you're willing to use it and put tickets on it right away. Otherwise, you'll end up with like, a low amount of rubies and a lot of level 1 items.
Yeah, no, it's a really solid point. I think it's a good strategy for everybody. Yeah, and to your point, say Cat Luigi, he's a top 15 driver, but I think when I'm thinking to a newer player, I don't want to mislead them. I don't want them to regret this decision in 3 or 4 months when all of his tracks are getting swallowed up by some of the new plus skills, or Mii's even for that matter. So yeah, I like that point. And then there are definitely a couple cards I had my eyes on. Like, I noticed a lot of people were talking about the Gugu Black. Did some research. I don't know. I'm not as excited about that, but I was really surprised by the Gugu Pink. Actually, it had some really strong coverage. I was really surprised to see that it was, in my opinion, the much better option than the Gugu Black. Another one I honestly looked at the Piranha Pipes and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on there. And then I looked it up and honestly, it's
not actually that good.
Other than that rank track, guys, I mean, it's really, I don't know. To me,
you know why? I think there's a little bit of a halo effect because the driver and the glider from that set are so incredible. So people are like, "Oh yeah, that set was amazing." Like, there's It's also associated with Piranha Slide, which was like one of the best tracks to be released last year. So yeah, but Piranha Pipes actually is a bit of a disappointment. It's still, we have it ranked 27th, so it's not like it's a total dud.
Right.
But.
Yeah,
it's,
I will say, did a double look on the blue speedster because it actually moved up pretty high in the algorithm pretty quickly. It's still really far away, too far away for me to give it that bump. But I was just so excited about the gliders. I really just wanted to emphasize that and draw everyone's attention there with how many awesome items are right there. There's just this new generation of a new wave of gliders that are just getting so much value, and I don't think we've ever really had this many new gliders get such strong value. Now, of course, we have some newer ones, some older ones getting some usage, such as the 8-bit Fireflower and the Galaxy Glider and the 8-bit Bull. But ultimately, if you want to get anything on this list, I would highly recommend you just kind of look at the gliders, or just save your rubies and invest in Mii's. So that would be my recommendation. Now we have to talk about buffs, because we had an insane number of buffs. Antilev, you have on hand how many buffs we got this tour. It's an absolutely insane.
So for drivers, we had 160 buffs. For karts, 183 buffs. For gliders, 155. But like, we usually don't get that number of buffs in total for all 3 categories of items by themselves. In total, there were 498 buffs this tour. But I think it's like almost double the previous record. I think the previous record was 260 or 273. I'm not sure.
Almost 500.
Yeah,
it's 6 away from 500.
It's insane. My spreadsheets were crying with the amount of data I had to add to them. It's and they're all cities.
And they're all cities. So we actually won't even talk about them. Yeah, we're not even going to talk too much about them. We're just going to skim through them. But they're all here. And so shout out to Alberto, who's been really so helpful in putting together these slides. Just helping me along the way. So huge shout out to Alberto, who had to put together a lot of these. Just an absolute headache to work with. So not him, but all these buffs were a headache to work with. Huge shout out to Alberto. All right, let's talk about these buffs and kind of skim through them. Obviously, Toad Astronaut got a lot of buffs. We were expecting him to walk away with a decent number of buffs this tour. But Kitsune Luigi, that was kind of a surprise. He walked away with 5 buffs as well. There were 3 drivers that got 3 buffs, including Larry Wintertime, Yellow Mii Racing Suit, and Toadette Astronaut. Obviously, Larry Wintertime, this kind of hurts him a little bit. This would be the tour where he's getting the most buffs in a normal situation where he just came out 2 or 3 tours ago, like he's riding this wave. And then boom.
He's in his buffing peak, and then he gets hit with an all-city tour, which is not so nice.
It's tough, but I will say Nintendo has gone out of the way to give him some exclusive tracks. They've done right by him, this tour excluded. So don't be too afraid. His value is still going to be pretty strong. Of course, he's a smaller hitbox. So you got to take that into consideration. I'm not a big, Larry Wintertime fan. I'm not the person who invested in him, but I know there are others, such as Frenzy Fan Guy, who love him and hope that other people keep not investing in him, so that Nintendo keeps buffing him. Personally, I just can't handle the size. Like, the size is just too small for me. But I think he's, from a coverage perspective, he's like the Streetle of drivers, man. He's absolutely crushing so far. We'll see what happens, but this just happens to be a bad roll of the dice with his buffing. I will say, as you can kind of see from some of these pictures, some of them are easier to read than others. Each one of them has the year of which it was released on the bottom left corner, and then also you can see if there's a little ranked badge. So he's in ranked 1, so you can see that right from the get-go. Yellow Me Racing Suit, obviously, he's not even that new, but he has a ranked track here. It's a pretty good one. As these Bangkok Rush 2 tracks, there's like this narrow little market that's great for Giant Banana. That's been my track to use for grinding tokens and doing the auto clicker, or not auto clicker, but using for auto clicker for the Android, but for those iOS, we put together a video about how to use the voice commands through the native iOS features. So definitely check that out. We'll put the little link in the description to go there. But I'm using a lot of the Bangkok 2 or Bangkok 3, just wherever there's that little narrow market, to be able to get as many banana hits as possible, walking away with 20, 30 different hits a track. So I've been kind of running while we've been playing. Here's 24. Again, so that's a pretty good average. I think there's a lot of great tracks to be able to hit and make those hits. So there we go. Those are drivers with 4 buffs. Drivers with 3 buffs. Obviously, you thought Daisy Tides would walk away with a couple buffs coming out as Torres. She's one of the featured drivers. Obviously, she, as you mentioned, only in ranked once. That is this Bangkok 3. Really fun track. I absolutely love the Bangkoks this tour. I was a big fan of the original, and honestly, it's probably still my favorite city across the board. It's just such a fun set of tracks. There's multiple paths you can go, and multiple different routes that you can kind of cut corners and get different things. So I honestly, it's my favorite city, and I'm glad that they brought it back. I will say I was surprised to see 2 of them for what it's worth, but Daisy Tidress only getting 3 new tracks, considering the fact that we had, I guess, 8 variations brought in of Bangkok. So she could have walked away with 8 city buffs. But so I guess if you can kind of look at something a win, that's a pretty good move for her. Charging Chuck got just the same amount of tracks with 3. Obviously with that ranked Bangkok 3.
He also got the exact same buff as she did, which is kind of an L for her because he's heavy and she's medium. Yeah,
he is a bigger hitbox.
They're both great drivers, so it's not, and like Daisy is getting she's not old, but she's not like super new anymore, so it's not like these city buffs are taking up space on her buffing, on her inventory.
Yeah. No, certainly good point. I will say Toadette Sailor does get 2 ranked buffs. For what it's worth, if you do like Toadette Sailor and you've invested in her, I'm thinking of Snout the Tinker. But I will say the other one I want to point out, Santa Me Racing Suit, does get the Tokyo Blur 4T rank track, which I'm, again, not excited about getting a Tokyo track. But to get a rank track, I mean, it is one of the, it's a top skill, and you're using it on that track. And it's a short track, so certainly get your lucky 7 and coin and move on, or maybe a single lucky 7 frenzy and move on. But I don't know. I'm happy to be using him in ranked for like the 3rd tour in a row. So just pointing that out there. Anything you want to say about these drivers before we move to the next set?
No, I mean, for our model, the cities don't add much value. So when I was making my notes for the buffs, it's basically looking at who got ranked tracks this tour, and who got especially ranked tracks on the new tracks. So I think most people probably have those Tokyos like pretty well covered. So I think for example, the Sanami Racing Suit buff on Tokyo Blur 4T is I think there's like a boomerang driver there you can use, which is going to beat Lucky 7 on a short track by far. Coinboxville too. So for me, it's not that impressive of a buff. Toadette Sailor is the only driver who got 2 new ranked tracks. Bangkok Rush 2R and Singapore Speedway 3RT. For the rest, like Yellow Racing Suit got this Bangkok 2R, which is one of the harder tracks to cover. I think basically that's the only plus skill option there aside from King Mario. And then Gold Chuck and Ty Daisy, both with the Bangkok Rush 3N, which is in next week's rank, but it seems to be kind of a dump. Like, there's a lot of buffs, a lot of items got buffed on this one. I think PD Pariah got that one too, Yoshi Golda got that one too. So you have lots of options, so it's not like you're forced to use one or the other. So a bit questionable how valuable that one is. Other than that, not much on this page.
Yeah, what would you say are your top buff tracks? If you wanted your item to get a buff on a specific track, which one do you think would be the hardest one?
What's the best buff of this tour, or what's the best track to get? I mean, the best buff of this tour is Toad Astronaut getting Battle Course 1, because like battle that comes back like 2 out of 3 tours, and it's doubled. So that's the most valuable buff. I would say Bangkok 2 has got a pretty tough top shelf, and Singapore 3 RT has also got a pretty tough top shelf. So those are the ones which I see as hard to cover for ranked. The hardest.
I will say there are some rank tracks that like they're really hard for drivers, but like really easy to cover for karts or something like that.
Sure.
So each one's a little different, but I think when it comes to ranked, the new Bangkok or Singapore are definitely the ones that you would prefer. Let's talk about the drivers with 2 buffs. Luigi Knight, not in rank though. Peter Piranha gets the Bangkok Rush 3, which is a ranked track. Just kind of skimming down here. PD Piranha gets 2 buffs, but neither are in ranked. King Mario. Let's talk about King Mario for a little bit. He is number 10 on our list, which we'll get to here in a little bit. 17 cities, 14 assumed tracks, but he gets this Bangkok Rush 2R, which is, I mean, honestly, it's an amazing buff for drivers. What's your thoughts on Mario King where we're at right now?
Yeah, so like he's having a pretty good run of being in ranked and getting options. Like I would say last tour with that Wii Rainbow Road RT track was the first time where I actually kind of felt the pain of not having him. I invested in the Yellow Me suit for that track because it was him, Yellow Me, or Spoke, and I wasn't sold on that guy yet because I didn't like his start that much, and I thought, well, I want an excuse to invest in me suits anyway, so I went for the Yellow Me suit. It wasn't a really great Giant Banana track, but again, we have another track where he's one of few options on that Bangkok Rush 2R, so it's another good buff for him for this tour's ranked. I still don't see him having a great long-term value. And you can see he loaded up with cities. He has all city tour start. He's getting buffs, and there's been a number of, I think 3 more all city tours since he came out, and you can see he's got more cities than non-cities. So he's top 10. He's being driven now by like having a lot of exclusives. I would say his most valuable track right now is probably that Cookie Land, because he's the only Coinbox driver. If Cookie Land gets another Coinbox driver on it, I would say his value is going to start to fall off a little bit there. And he's a medium, so I mean, look, if you invest in him, he's fine. You're getting a lot of use out of him. He's being useful for you in ranked the past few tours, so that's good. I would just say don't have like a lot of high expectations for his long-term value, but it is nice to see for the people that invested hard to get him out of that difficult pipe, that he is cracking the top 10, and he's very meta right now, I would say.
Yeah, the thing is that I see a lot of my friends list, a lot of people invested in him, but I think they invested in him just because of the sunken value, thinking like, oh my gosh, I had to go so far to get him, so I might as well use him. And it's so funny because everyone's doing it. But honestly, yeah, you're good. I mean, you're nailing it. The Cookie Land is his best track, and for that reason, I've even just kind of done a soft investment too. It's just it's we'll see what his future turns out. But I think from this tour, you're happy to have him in ranked. Happy he only had 2 buffs, and we'll see what the rest of his future holds. I will say White Tanuki Mario gets to Singapore 2. Yoshi Gold Egg gets this Bangkok Rush 3. Cat Luigi walking away with the Singapore Speedway 3 RT. The rest of the guys, I say Mario Samurai gets this Tokyo Blur 3T, but you probably have good coverage there. Dr. Peach gets that same track as well. Nothing else I really think you're going to be wanting to invest in per se. Another whiff for the bronze Me Racing suit, man. One of the worst Me suit. Between all three metallic, it's by far the worst. But it's rough, guys. I did think we had a lot higher hopes for a boomerang Me suit, but it is what it is. I mean, PD Piranha is the boomerang Me suit you want to invest in if you have to invest in one. Anything you want to mention here before we move on?
No, like I said before, PD Piranha, Yoshi Golden getting that Bangkok Rush 3N, which isn't ranked, but again, you have a lot of options there. King Mario is probably the best out of a bad bunch because that's a tough one. White Tanuki Mario getting that Singapore 3N, which is this week ranked. I'm not sure how good that track is for Giant Banana. You've got, I think, Teleview and Luigi Vacation as options there. It's a really good Lucky 7 track. I'm using Teleview. It's probably really good for a boomerang as well. This is an okay buff. I would say it's harder to cover than Bangkok Rush 3N, but not as hard as Bangkok Rush 2R. It's a Teleview getting Singapore 3. It's nice to see him get a buff, even if it's he's old enough where city buffs aren't really going to hurt him. Other than that, no, not really. Nothing else to say.
Yeah, I will say that Singapore Speedway 3, there are 2 coin box drivers on the middle shelf. It's not too hard to get two coin boxers in the lobby, just based on how many coin boxers we have. So I've been loving Luigi Vacation. It's one of the more fun boomboxing tracks in my opinion. But let's move into, just based on time, there was a second layer to the drivers with 2 buffs, just because how many buffs we have. We talked about it, guys. It's so insane. But most of these not necessarily you'll be using. We'll say the King Boom Me Racing suit might be one that you're using on that Tokyo Blur 4T. It's not one necessarily I would invest in just for that track, but it's a pretty strong Me suit, considering it's number 72 on our list. And then there are a lot of drivers with 1 buff, which Gold Me Racing suit does get that 1 buff on Bangkok Rush 3RT, which is not ranked, but it's good to know that that is a permanent track going forward. Same with Question
Gold
Block.
Me suit up to 40 total tracks.
40 total tracks, guys. I told you this Gold Me Racing suit is not going to follow any other buffing cycle like any other driver. So it's going to be crushing it. Question Block does get that 2RT for Bangkok Rush, which again, it's doing pretty well too, but 10 less tracks than the gold version. So again, that's 10 tracks where you're guaranteed not using them. Like for instance, the Gold Me Racing suit, he's your best option on all 30 tracks, and that's why he's such a meta driver. Kind of skimming through the rest of it. The Goomba Me Racing suit does have the Bangkok Rush 3 track that's in ranked. White Me Racing suit, Luigi Vacation. He had such a good start this year. Number 52 on our list now. Peach Happy, number 56 on our list. With obviously, that Singapore Speedway 3RT. Dr. Luigi gets Singapore 3RT as well. And then Luigi Chef got that same track. So yeah, some options for you. Teleview, as we talked about, got the Singapore Speedway 3. That's a common driver that a lot of people are going to be using. What's your thoughts? Anything you want to add here?
Nope, I'm already looking at the cards.
All right, let's talk about those cards. Kept the cards really simple. Each buffing, because there's so many, has its own slide. Pink Speeder. I wish this was in the Spotlight shop, because this is one that I wish I could have gotten. It's number 8 on our list. Got 4 tracks, one of which is in ranked. Holiday Speeder has the Bangkok Rush 2R. Pink Sneaker has the Bangkok Rush 2R. Black Sneaker has the Tokyo Blur 4T. And the Blue Speeder has Singapore Speedway 3. I'm gonna move through these pretty quickly if you don't mind, Antilev.
No, that's absolutely fine. I can give you my notes on the end, but there's probably not any.
Yeah, we'll stop at each of the end of glider. Shield Speedster does have the Singapore Speedway 3, a ranked track, which is number 2 kart in the game. Moo Off-Roader, although got 3 buffs and 1 kart, a lot of people are investing in, does not have any ranked use this tour. So again, I think everyone was really excited about the Moo Off-Roader. In some ways, it's kind of the Shield Speedster light, and this tour none like the last. And even though, except for it did not get the ranked track, I don't know. I'm still thinking the Shield Speedster. If you had invested in one, and you were started from blank, and you had the Shield Speedster or the Moo Off-Roader, which one would you invest in?
That's a difficult one.
I know you've already gone heavy into the Moo Off-Roader, and either both accounts or at least you're free to play.
Well, my free to play doesn't have it because it was a banner only. My free to play does have the Shielded Speedster. I've invested in both on my main account. I feel sort of obligated to say Shielded Speedster just because, like, you know, we had it up at number 1 and number 2 like really early. But at this point, I would probably lean Moo Off-Roader because it's newer. And you know, we're going to be getting into spring soon, so it seems like a kind of spring themed item. You know, for sure it's going to, when we get Moo Moo Meadows or whatever, it's going to have some serious buffing there, and it's an off-roader, so you know, both amazing carts, but I would be, you know, and it's slightly bigger, so I would probably lean Moo Moo Off-Roader here, but honestly you can't go wrong with either one.
Yeah, I agree there. Yeah, as we kind of talked about some of these other meta carts here, I will say this Flaming Speeder did get the Singapore Speedway 3. Blazing Eagle, a popular one for a lot of people, got the Bangkok Rush 2R. Moving through, the Taylor Swift got the Singapore Speedway 3 RT. Tuk Tuk Kart, unlike Tie-Dye, is using twice with ranked buffs, both from the Bangkok Rush 2R and the Bangkok Rush 3. But again, smaller hitbox, you may not want to use that. Gold Eagle did not get any ranked buff. The Blooper Shuttle did get the Singapore Speedway 3 RT. It's one I'm keeping an eye on, even though this tour is hard to get excited about it. Which again, it's, you know, it's a city track, so I'm not too worried about that. Moving to carts with 2 buffs, we got the Streetle has the Tokyo Blur 4T. But number 5 on our list, again, you know, take it with take a look at its size and see if it works for you. Tropical Truck, another ranked buff here, guys, with the Bangkok Rush 3, crushing it so far. As you can see, some of these other carts didn't even get a ranked buff of its 2. I'm just skimming through it, guys. You know, there's not a lot of ranked usage on this sheet per se. So let's move on to carts with 1 buff. Red Off-Roader got the Bangkok Rush 3T, not in ranked. Lady Streamliner, not ranked. I don't know. It's surprising. Those guys, I would have expected if you got 1 buff and it was in ranked, that'd be a huge plus for either one. Again, I see a lot of the Bangkok Rush color scheme working out with both of those, but yeah, neither one in ranked. Armored Rider, it is in ranked thanks to the Singapore Speedway 3T. 3RT, and then the Piranha Pipes, it is in Singapore Speedway 3. But as you can see, number 27 on our list, 9 cities, 20 assumed tracks. Google Black is in the Singapore Speedway 3RT, but 8 cities and 19 assumed tracks. Yeah, I think that's about all I'm going to cover here. What's your thoughts on the carts that got buffs?
This is I have way fewer notes for the carts than the drivers and the gliders, just because like the ranked buffs are not really that great here, and you can see some of the options. Like if you look at the top shelf for Bangkok Rush 2R, the options are pretty sparse. There's no meta cards up there. I mean, there's kind of the Blazing Eagle, which is like kind of meta, but it still only has, I think, like 11 non-city tracks, you know, just because it's so loaded with cities. What I think is really interesting that the Thai Daisy set, there's 1 item of each category, driver, cart, and glider. They got 2 new ranked tracks as buffs. It's the whole Thai Daisy set, except for Thai Daisy herself. The only card that got 2 ranked tracks that are new is Tuk Tuk Kart, and the only glider that got 2 ranked tracks that are new is Red and Gold Umbrella. But for some reason, they substituted Toadette Sailor for Thai Daisy on the driver. Other than that, I have Blazing Eagle and Shielded Speedster from the 3 buffs getting a notable ranked buff. I have Tropical Truck getting a notable ranked buff from the 2 buff slide, and Armor Rider from the 1 buff slide, and that is really it. I don't think there's really a whole lot else to talk about here.
We'll move to gliders, and hopefully we'll pick up a little bit of the pace. But I will say both of the ice cream gliders are crushing it right now.
They are.
Minted berry balloons. Although the Tokyo Blur 4T is not an amazing track. It's a ranked track. It's already been meta. It's already crushing it. So to get 4, it's okay. It's been around for a long time to get 4 buffs. I don't know. It was a surprising one to see there, especially compared to some of the newer items, even on this list. Vanilla and Chocolate Balloons, number 4 on our list. It got the Singapore Speedway 3. Really strong there. Red and Gold Umbrella, sneaky one. It's been kind of just slowly creeping into the top 15. We'll see where it goes from here. But as we already discussed, 2 ranked new buffs that it got, both Bangkok Rush 2R and Bangkok Rush 3. Wonderful Garnet got 4 buffs, one of which is ranked, which is Tokyo Blur 3T. Secret Scroll got the Bangkok Rush 2R, and Autumn Leaves got the Tokyo Blur 4T. Calico, Toby and Balloons got the Bangkok Rush 2R. Festipali got the Singapore Speedway 3. Yellow Hard Hat got the Tokyo Blur 4T. New Year's 2023 got the Bangkok Rush 2R. And Gold Hat Balloon got the Tokyo Blur 3T. Moving on to the gliders with 3 buffs. You do have the Icy Mario's mustache has been doing really, really well, crushing the meta. It got the Singapore Speedway 3RT, and the Sakura Origami Glider did get the Singapore Speedway 3RT as well, so both of those really, really strong. You got the Piranha Plant Balloons getting the Bangkok Rush 3, Mario's Hat Balloon getting the Bangkok Rush 2R. You notice there's a lot of getting, Rich getting richer here, and just getting one, a couple buffs, but at least one ranked buff there. Fire Manta Glider's been pretty strong from my account, but it does overlap with the Tropical Balloons. We'll kind of talk a little bit about that later, but gets the Bangkok Rush 2R. There's some other, spicy type of gliders, such as the Parapanini, the Chocolate Pretzel, some that some people are getting really excited about. But those are the gliders with 3 buffs. Gliders with 2 buffs, Tropical Balloons gets the Bangkok Rush 3. It's really, really strong. Broke our top 10. It's number 9 on our list with 11 cities and 23 assumed tracks. Boom Masks, number 11 on our list with Singapore Speedway 3. Kind of been on the fringe of the top 10, but it's really strong. It's been doing pretty well. Then we got the Green Cat Parafoil, not available in the Spotlight shop. That's because it doesn't have any 2. This does not have any 2, and neither of its 2 buffs are in ranked. Got the Silver Luigi Mustache with Singapore Speedway 3. So Silver Candlelight Flight with the Singapore Speedway 3, and just kind of looking down. I think some people are really excited about the Candlelight Flight Cake, which is interesting. 18
also an all city star. It's got a ton of cities. Well, it's 18 cities, 20 assumed tracks. Pretty close to 50-50 there. Flying Flappers did rise a lot in our movers and shakers. It's up to 34 on our list with 9 cities and 21 assumed tracks. So 2 of those cities coming this tour. It's been pretty strong. 8-Bit Bullet Bill and the Dream Glider have been pretty strong in the past. 8-Bit Bullet Bill in ranked with the Bangkok Rush 3. And then Galaxy Glider in ranked for Singapore Speedway 3, one of the meta gliders of yesteryear. And that's all I'll kind of discuss about here on the gliders with 2 buffs. And then gliders with 1 buff, the Black Star Shoot, number 10 on our list with Singapore Speedway 3RT. This is the best case scenario. You enter a city tour, you get 1 buff, and it's in ranked, and you're walking away a winner. So huge win there for the Black Star Shoot. 7 cities, 22 assumed tracks, number 10 on our list. Record Setter is brought back from the dead. It's in ranked with Singapore Speedway 3 with 10 cities and 28 assumed tracks, number 14 on our list. Pretzel Gliders available on Bangkok Rush 3. Springtime Crane available on that same track. And Full Flight, nice little resurgence there. Number 54, 154 on our list though. Got that same track, Bangkok Rush 3. So all in all, for all the gliders, we did get some nice retro buffs. We got some gliders that were from a long time ago, year 1, year 2, obviously because of Tokyo, etc. But it's nice to kind of be using some of these older items, and that Nintendo kind of threw a bone to some of the day 1 players. But all those buffs I talked about, Antilev, what's your thoughts? I think you touched on all the ones I had written down. It's basically looking at the top 15 and the ones that got the ranked buffs and the new tracks. But you think you touched all of the ones that I wanted to highlight, so we can move on.
Alrighty, all right. Let's talk about the top 10. Obviously, it's a very complex algorithm, and I definitely want to make this a little clearer. There's more. It's not necessarily like an algorithm like the way that Tabor did, but more of a decision tree. And I think it is a little bit more complex, but I want to make it easier just so everyone understands. But it takes into consideration a lot of what top shelves are available, what exclusivity it has, how paywalled when it comes to that top shelf. As well as also what kind of coverage it has. So it's not all coverage is created equal. That's a big part of the algorithm. So let's get into the top 10. We'll start with Mario King. We'll kind of talk a little bit about him because he's the only new top 10 driver. There's not a lot of change in the algorithm, mainly because we do not consider city tracks except for the ranked usage, which is a different part of the algorithm. We don't count that track as really being a great buff when it comes to what tracks are being brought back into the game. So there's not a lot of big movement across the board. But what little ripple there was is Mario going up one spot into the top 10. We always wondered if this would happen. Today is the day. 14 assumed tracks, but 17 of these city tracks. And actually, we want to make sure that some of the questions came up. When it came to the overlap and the pairings, these are just assumed tracks. These are not actually city tracks. But we have included Nitro in those, I believe. We just have excluded the cities there. So, still 66 tracks left to see. Pairs really well with a couple of these other meta level drivers. Specifically Meowser, Tie-Dye, and Shy Guy Ninja. That would cover, he and those 3 other drivers would cover 88 of those 264 tracks. So this pairing, these 3 drivers, adds 74 tracks to his 14 assumed tracks. So that's how the rest of these slides will play out. He does overlap 3 times with Gold Charging Chuck and the question mark block head. So 3 out of 14 isn't too bad, but considering the fact that one of them is a larger hitbox and the other one's a me suit, that is kind of alarming. Let's move to number 9, PD Piranha Gold, 17 assumed tracks, 7 Nitro. So we have a couple other pairings we've quite seen a lot. He does overlap 5 times with his non-gold counterpart and 4 times with Mario Samurai. Pink Shy Guy Ninja with these pairings can cover 95 of the 264 tracks. It does overlap 6 times with PD Piranha regular and 5 times with regular Charging Chuck. We have PD Piranha, 28 assumed tracks, 8 Nitro, 41 tracks left to see, which is still a pretty high number considering how long ago he came out. What was it, 7 or so months ago? His pairings cover 97 of the 264 tracks, which you can see there. He does overlap 6 times with PD Piranha Me Suit for obvious reasons, and also Shy Guy Ninja, Pink Shy Guy Ninja, 5 times with Gold PD Piranha and Rosalina Chef. Number 6 on our list is Luigi Knight, holding down his spot from last tour. 24 assumed tracks, 10 Nitro, 60 tracks left to see, which is a lot. This pairing can cover 94 of the 264 tracks. It does overlap 6 times with Yoshi Gold Egg Gold Something and 5 times with Mario Samurai. You'll notice Mario Samurai on the top skill overlap quite a lot, as that's kind of his shtick. We also have Meowser here, number 5. 30 assumed tracks, 4 Nitro, still a solid one to invest in, if nothing else, for Twilight House. He's got 1 track left to see, which is ironically at Bowser's Castle 2 RT. His pairing covers 97 of the 264 tracks. Overlaps 7 times with Shy Guy Ninja and Mario Samurai, 6 times with Kamek, and 5 times with Gold Misu. They don't normally put something that is that low when it comes to overlap, but I think a lot of people think that Meowser overlaps a lot with the Gold Me Racing Suit, just so I wanted to put him on there just as a frame of reference for people to know. I mean, when you have 30 assumed tracks and only 5 of them overlap with him, it's not that much comparatively. So just keep that with a grain of salt. I mean, Meowser's an awesome driver. Still worth thinking about triple uncapping, quad uncapping as one of the top candidates for that. Question block mini racing suit, 22 assumed tracks, 7 Nitro. This pairings cover 91 of the 264 tracks, overlaps 6 times with Mario Satellite View, and 5 times with PD Piranha. Number 3 on our list is Charging Chuck Gold, 24 assumed tracks, 10 Nitro. Still a great number of tracks left to see, 57. He overlaps with his non-gold counterpart 6 times for obvious reasons. And number 2 on our list, Gold Me Racing Suit, 25 assumed tracks, 5 Nitro, as we already talked about. He has finally hit 40 tracks total. 10 tracks left to see. His pairings pretty well. 6-time overlap with Yoshi Gold Egg Gold Something, and also Peach Happy. 5 times with Meowser and 5 times with Luigi Vacation. And then finally, our number 1 driver in the game, who has spotlighted this tour, Daisy Tie Dress. She's awesome to invest in. If you have to use her for all cup ranking or for ranked, certainly a great investment. If you don't have her, definitely try to pick her up. Week 2, 27 assumed tracks, 12 Nitro tracks, 41 tracks left to see. Surprising that's as high as it is. Her pairings cover a whopping 97 of the 264 tracks, paired with Petey Piranha, Meowser, and Mario Saladin. Does overlap 6 times with Yoshi Kangaroo, and 4 times with Mario Samurai. So, with our top 10, not much has changed. Really close, though, with Daisy Tie Dress and Gold Mii Racing Suit. Just about a half a point different between the two. And then a little jump, and then a little jump, and then kind of a bigger jump between the question mark block and Meowser, and then kind of going down a little slower from there. Rounding out the top 15, White Tanuki Mario, Yoshi Gold Egg is at 12, Larry Wintertime at 13, Petey Piranha Mii Racing Suit at 14, and Cat Luigi at 15. And so, what's your thoughts on the drivers in the top 10?
Yeah, so as expected, not much movement. You're talking about how the model is built. There's a lot that goes into it, but the short and dirty version is that we give every track in the game a value based on a bunch of variables, and then we add up all the tracks that a given driver has, and then there's a final multiplier like the driver skill or the kart size or the glider skill, whatever. But for the most part, that's what the driver is, the sum of its tracks, the sum of its coverage. And ranked is a bonus for a track if it's been ranked recently, and how new a track is a bonus, and if it's an exclusive, it's a bonus, etc. So one of the things that goes into it is the type of track. Cities are worth less than normal tracks, and RTs are worth the most at the moment. Mario, so that's explaining why there's no movement here. A city buff, even if it's in ranked, is only worth about half of a track, because we expect them not to come back, and so we base it on their actual reappearances, how often they come back. Whereas a new buff for a plus skill driver, a ranked track, if it's an exclusive, can be worth like 5 times the value of a track. So we're talking about a city buff being 1/10 of the value of a new retro buff. So that's why there's not a lot of movement here. The main reason Mario King went up is because he has a lot of cities, and the value of cities went up a little bit in the model, because we've got a tour full of cities, so that goes into our history, so we raise the value of cities a little bit. So that's basically a lot of the movement you've seen in the rankings here, and there's a lot more movement further down the rankings if you download my spreadsheet, is based on the fact that a lot of these items with a lot of cities will get a small increase in value to each one of those cities based on the multipliers, and so it might drive up their ranking. So that's basically why Mario King got moved up into the top 10.
Thank you for clarifying that. For Karts, Strawberry Soft Swerve at 10, 21 assumed tracks, 10 Nitro, overlaps 7 times with the Watermelon Kart, the Banana and Chocolate Minibus, I believe, and then the Green Cat Cruiser. Overlaps 5 times with the Goo Goo Pink and the Streetle. Number 9 on our list, the Ice Cream Minibus, 25 assumed tracks, 10 Nitro, 45 tracks left to see. Those would overlap 6 times with the Coral Jet Cruiser and 5 times with the Goo Goo Pink and the Yellow Green Capsule Kart. Pink Speeder, at number 8, up 3 spots, 16 assumed tracks, 8 Nitro, a whopping 150 tracks left to see. I really wish this was in the Spotlight Shop. It's a phenomenal kart right off the gate. Now again, it's these speeders are never on anyone's top favorite list, but it's really crushing it right now. It does overlap 5 times with a different pink kart, which is the Pink Sneaker, and 4 times with the Moo Moo Off-Roader and White Bruiser. Those are 2 strong karts that you might have invested in, so just keep that in the back of your mind. But 4 out of 16 is not bad. Red Off-Roader at 7, 20 assumed tracks, 8 Nitro, 57 tracks left to see. Does overlap 7 times with the Lightning Speed Streamliner, and the 6 times with the Blazing Speeder, and 5 times with the Gold Bullet Bill. We have the Flowery Badwagon, 21 assumed tracks, 9 Nitro, 44 tracks left to see. Those overlap 6 times with the Tuk Tuk Kart and 5 times with the Coconut One, White Bruiser, and the Chocolate and Banana Minibus. We do have Streetle at number 5, down 1 spot, 20 assumed tracks, 6 Nitro. Still has a lot of tracks left to see, 102 in total. Does overlap 6 times with the Gold Trickster and 5 times with the Strawberry Soft Swerve. We have at number 4 the Gold Bullet Blaster up 1 spot, from 22 assume tracks, 8 nitro, 57 tracks left to see. Those overlap 6 times with the classic B-Dasher Mark II and the Blazing Speeder, 5 times with the Yellow Off-Roader and the Lightning Streamliner, which again, those are some bigger carts. So just be aware that those are going to beat out the Bullet Blaster on 6 of those, or 5 of those 22 assumed tracks. Moo Off-Roader. Here we are at the number 3 on our list, 19 assumed tracks, 4 nitro. Still whopping 117 tracks left to see. Certainly a great investment. You're probably not going to be investing in ranked because it's not in ranked, but still a strong investment. I think I'll be triple uncapping at this tour myself. It does overlap 6 times with the pink sneaker, not a big deal. 5 times with the black Turbo Yoshi. Again, these are 2 smaller carts you don't have to worry about. It's getting up there. 19 assumed tracks, 4 nitro isn't the most, but it's still really early in its peaking cycle, so we'll see how it goes. Then we have the Shielded Speedster. Down to only 60 tracks left to see, but that's really strong still, considering it's a number 2 cart in the game. 23 assumed tracks, 8 nitro. Those overlap 6 times with the red off-roader and 5 times with the Piranha Pipe and the green-yellow capsule. And then number 1, no surprise here, 31 assumed tracks, only 4 city tracks here. Does overlap 7 times with the Tanuki cart and the chocolate macaroon. 6 times with the combo cruiser, pink bunny, and purple bunny, Cact X, I believe, and then the brown off-roader. So Antilev, what's your thoughts on the top 10? Again, not a lot of movement. Pink Speeder and Gold Bill, obviously the biggest movers into it.
And Yellow Off-Roader, no buffs this tour.
No buffs. Hey, you can't complain about that.
Well, I mean, for a card that's more than a year old, you don't mind to getting some city buffs because it's seen everything. But yeah, no, not again, not much movement, which is expected, and not really a whole lot, I would say, to explain here. The movement that's there is kind of just because those things were close together. Gold Bullet Blaster and Streetle were like really close together. Pink Speeder, it got a little bit more of a buff. It got some buffs this tour, which helped it, but the movement is just these cities don't really have a big impact. So
fair enough. Just to round out the top 15, Lightning Streamliner at 11, Tropical Truck at 12, Flaming Speeder at 13, Green Capsule Cart at 14, and Blazing Eagle at 15. Moving to the gliders, we already talked about the Black Star Shoot a little bit so far. Even with its ranked buff, it's down 2 spots to number 10. 22 assumed tracks, 7 nitro, 57 tracks left to see, which is still great. Does overlap 8 times with the Boo Masks and 6 times with the Candlelight Flight. Tropical Balloons, up whopping 4 spots to number 9. 23 assumed tracks, 11 nitro, still 44 tracks left to see. Does overlap, though, 7 times with this vanilla and chocolate ice cream balloons, 6 times with the Fire Manta glider, and 5 times with the Parapanini. At number 8, up 1 spot, is Mario's Hat Balloon. 22 assumed tracks, 11 nitro, still 60 tracks left to see. Fortunately, here's the big one. Of those 22 tracks, it does overlap 7 times with the 8-bit 1-Up Mushroom, 6 times with the Mint and Berry Balloons, and the Sakura Origami Glider. Icy Mario's Mustache. 21 assumed tracks, 14 nitro, 45 tracks left to see. Does overlap 7 times with the Record Setter, and 5 times with the Polka Dot Mythic Glider. Piranha Plant Balloons, 26 assumed tracks, 8 nitro. That's an awesome high number. 26 assumed tracks. 41 tracks left to see. It does overlap, though, 7 times with this 8-bit 1-Up Mushroom. That's a lot. 6 times with Candlelight Flight. Green Cat Parafoil, 26 assumed tracks, 10 nitro. Still 31 tracks left to see. It does overlap with a lot with the Ice Cream Gliders and the Piranha Plant Balloons. Vanilla and Chocolate Balloons at number 4 on our list, up 1 spot. 25 assumed tracks, 12 nitro. This is kind of a high number of cities for what it's worth. 45 tracks left to see. Those overlap 7 times with the Tropical Balloons, 6 times with the Green Cat Parafoil, and 5 times with the Pink Magnifying Glass. Number 3 on our list, the 8-bit 1-Up Mushroom, holding it down its spot from last tour. 25 assumed tracks, 9 nitro. Still 41 tracks left to see. It's been a strong meta glider for quite some time here. 7 times with the Piranha Plant Balloons and the Mario Hat when it comes to the glider overlap. Sakura Origami Glider. Unfortunately, it's been dethroned. It's now at number 2 on our list 27 assumed tracks, 9 nitro, overlaps 7 times with the Candlelight Flight, 5 times with the Dream Glider and the Black Star Chute. And here we go, guys. The new number 1 glider in the game, the Mint and Berry balloons, 24 assumed tracks, 13 nitros, still 45 tracks left to see. Those overlap 6 times with the Mario Hat balloons and the Flying Flappers, 5 times with the Green Cat Powerful and the Tropical balloons. So to round out our top 15, we have the Boom Mask 11, Wonderful Wings at 12, 8-Bit Fire Flower at 13, Record Setter at 14, Red and Gold Umbrella. And so what's your thoughts on the top 10? Specifically, point out why is the Mint and Berry balloons at number 1, and it looks like it even has a little bit of a lead.
Well, if you go back, well, first of all, Mint and Berry balloons got 4 buffs, so even though those buffs aren't hugely valuable, it got 4 of them. If you go back 1 slide, you see that it's got 13 nitros, 13 cities, and if you go back 1 slide more than that, the Secure Origami Glider only has 9, so based on having those more cities, and also Secure Origami Glider has more non-cities, which went slightly down in value. So this is really the model calibrating due to the increased occurrence of cities in the history. And you see the same thing with the Black Star Chute. It only has 7 cities, which is a relatively low amount for a glider, and the ones that jumped at, like the Tropical balloons, has over 10 cities. So that's, I would say that the ranking change here are driven almost as much by the change to the track type weightings than they are by the buffs. But yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about these gliders?
No, not really. I mean, they all got buffs, and so some of them got some ranked buffs, but I mean, maybe the Green Cat Parafoil didn't get any buffs, but I think for the rest, like almost everything on the top 10 list got buffs. So I mean, it's kind of nice to see that the way we have the model set up, it's putting the items which are getting the buffs, like, front and center kind of at a time. Because the one other thing that people are like, why did Wonderful Wings drop off so hard? Like it's so good. Like the model is also meant to be predictive, right? It's also meant to tell you, yes, how good an item is and how hot it's been, but also to give you an impression of how good it's going to be, like in the future, So I'm pretty curious to see how Wonderful Wings does from here on out, since it's a big drop, and if it doesn't show up in ranked anymore, doesn't get buffed anymore, then we'll know that we're kind of on the right direction with the calibration of the model.
Good. No, I like it. I mean, it's at 12. It could pop back in. I mean, if you look at the Black Star Chute and the Boom Mask, they've been trading off this number 9 and 10 spot with number 11 and 12 really for the last month or two. So yeah, I can see it popping back in. It's really going to come down to what buffs it gets next tour. We'll see what happens. Top movers and shakers. I won't get into all these. Yellow Me Racing Suit, for obvious reasons, went up 15 spots to number 35. Toad Astronaut, if you're curious about keeping your eye on him, he went up 15 spots from 91 to 76. Pastry Chef Me Racing Suit went up 14 spots to 54. And White Me Racing Suit went up 9 spots to 51. Most improved karts. The green double decker went from 173 to 155. So definitely not one to invest in. I kind of mentioned this earlier. The Blue Speeder, this is a Spotlight Shop item, went up 17 spots from 77 to 60. Still relatively new. We'll see what happens with that. Taylor Swift, the Swift Talon, went up 16 spots to 28. That's a substantial jump into the top 30. Gold Eagle went up 16 spots to 63. Gold Double Decker went up 14 spots to 57. And White Fast Frank went up 13 spots to 50. Most improved gliders, you had the Silver Surf Master went up 11 spots to number 70. Candlelight Flight Cake went up 10 spots to 27. Gold Cloud Glider balloons went up 9 spots to 46. Pretzel Glider went up 8 spots to 35. And Luigi Parafoil went up 6 spots to 28. Anything you want to mention about this?
No, just if you have a close look at the items in this, a lot of them are city-heavy items, or items that got started with an all-city start. And that, again, is the calibration of the model and the increase in weighting in value of city tracks. So Gold Eagle, Swift Talon, Candlelight Flight Cake, Pretzel Glider, White Waves Origami Glider, those are all items that got their start in, Yellow Me Racing Suit as well, all got their start in all-city tour, so they have a lot of cities.
Point there. For ranked items, not a lot of unlocks. For the Bangkok Rush 2R, you have the Gold Umbrella at level 8. For next week, in ranked, the Funky Kong Cup, you have Tokyo Blur 40. You have Peach Happy at level 3. Springtime Crane at level 3. Bangkok Rush, you have the gold quick shot at level 8 if you're willing to take it that quickly from the Gold Pass award. Get the Singapore Speedway 3T, nothing there. So for ranked, what you see is what you get almost across the board, unless you have some of these newer items or Peach Happy. And then multiple use in ranked. One that's used the most is obviously this Roaring Racer. Me Racing Suit, used 3 times with nothing unlocked or anything. None of these else you're going to be probably using too much, except for Peach Happy. You're going to be using twice if you have her at level 3. She's a pretty strong one this tour, but again, this tour and this tour only. For Karts, you got the Hot Rod used twice. Pineapple 1, Tuk Tuk Kart, Gold Quick Shot. None of these you're surprised about. And then for the gliders, Mario's Hat Balloon. This is a really good one. Used twice. It's a really strong glider. Red and Gold Umbrella have been pretty strong as well. Stealth Glider, the new one that we kind of discussed earlier, you used twice. The Gold Umbrella, if you are willing to take it to level 8, you can't use it twice, but that's a pretty steep cost. But certainly, one I wouldn't necessarily be afraid to invest in, obviously, as a gold, as a coin glider. And obviously, the Gold Pass awards have not been amazing, but that's really the biggest knock against it. And then Springtime Cream, 2 times with that level 3 unlock. For All Cup MVPs, and then we'll wrap up. Luigi Vacation, no surprise here, used 9 times. Roaring Racer, Me Racing Suit as well. Daisy Tie Dress, used 8 times, no surprise, as this is her tour to shine. Donkey Kong Jr. SNES used 7 times. Gold Me Racing Suit, definitely love using that 7 times. It's 2,000 base points. It's insane. Peach Happy used 7 times as well. Nabbit Me Racing Suit 6. PD Piranha Me Racing Suit 6. And Santa Me Racing Suit also used 6. Silver Me Racing Suit in that same boat with 6 with Toddy Astronaut. And King Mario even used 6 times. So that's pretty nice. For Karts, Pineapple 1 used 11 times. Gold Quick Shot 10. Hot Rod 10 times. And Tuk Tuk Kart 8. I tell you what, that Hot Rod is making Tuk Tuk Kart sound like an easy name to say.
Say it 10 times fast.
Insane. Black Kabuki Dasher, Jukebox Buggy, Decal Streamliner, Orange Streamliner, Roaring Racer, and Orange Turbo Bird all use 8 times. For gliders, the Stealth Glider used a whopping 12 times. That's substantial. Definitely worth noting there. One of them is from an level 8 unlock, 2 of them from a level 6 unlock, and 2 of them from a level 3 unlock. Got the Origami Glider, White Waves Origami Glider, Gold Umbrella, all use 9 times there. Full Flight, surprisingly, alongside the red Gold Umbrella, used 8 times as well. Nabbit Oil Paper Umbrella, 8-bit Fire Flower, Luigi's Hat Balloons, Mario Hat Balloons, New Year's Kites, and Sakura Origami all used 6 times there. Sorry, 8 times there. Yeah, 6 times. Sorry. Again, some of the meta gliders are there, unlike the Karts and Karts and drivers. So just pointing out there. Anything you want to mention on that, Antilev?
No, not really. I mean, this is a binary choice for ACR. If you're gonna go hard for ACR and throw everything at it, you're gonna have a really good opportunity because the projections are quite low. There's a lot of short tracks this tour, so ACR is, if you have some skill, you can overshoot the target, the action count target, and really rack up some points. But for most people, they're gonna just look at what's meta and what's on a lot of tracks, and there's not a lot of overlap there. So like, yeah, I'm not gonna ruin my account by investing in these items, which are in general city-focused items, or just kind of terrible.
Yeah, I will say, based on what Rashid's put out, it looks like the top 100 breaking point will probably be about 1.96. So you're going to have to probably get
under 2 million.
Around 2 million to try to get top 100. So good luck to you guys. Again, shout out to Evan. I appreciate the hat. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see some good stuff from Super Nintendo World. Thank you guys for tuning in to what could be a filler tour. We'll see what happens. Definitely a savings tour, or as I'm calling, an EXP tour. So until next time, may the frenzy luck be with you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Antilev. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Silberto.